Something is stirring in London, not in the palace halls glittering with chandeliers, but in the cold corridors of Parliament. A storm is gathering behind those stone walls, the kind that doesn't make noise at first, it drafts it. Because this time, it's not gossip columns or tabloid scoops. It's signatures, seals, and parliamentary ink. Word from Westminster is shaking the monarchy to its marble foundations. Reports claim lawmakers, the very body sworn to protect the crown's dignity, are preparing to do what even the monarchy itself has refused to do: strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their royal titles. Think about that for a second. After years of Netflix deals, memoir revelations, and media megaphones, Britain's most polarizing couple might lose the only thing that still connects them to the House of Windsor: their titles, their royal standing, the names that once opened every door in the world. This isn't a palace rumor whispered by courtiers or an anonymous leak buried in a headline. This is Parliament, the institution that can make history with the stroke of a pen. And for the first time in decades, it's ready to aim that pen directly at the monarchy itself. How did it come to this? How did two people who once embodied the fairy tale promise of a modern crown become the face of royal rebellion? And more importantly, why now? Why would Parliament, known for its caution and tradition, choose this exact moment to move against them? Maybe it's because Britain's patience has quietly expired. Maybe it's because the public image of the crown has been bruised for too long. Or maybe, just maybe, it's because someone inside the palace wants this storm to happen. Because make no mistake, this isn't just about titles, it's about power, loyalty, and the thin line between duty and defiance. And as Westminster prepares to act, every royal eye is watching. Some with fear, others with quiet satisfaction. So grab your tea, because what's about to unfold isn't simply another royal scandal. It's the most dangerous kind of history, the kind written in real time. And it starts not with a shout, but with a bill. Inside Westminster, time moves differently. Every footstep echoes, every conversation lingers. And somewhere within those echoing halls, a quiet document is being born. One that could rewrite royal history with the simplest of words: to remove, to revoke, to reform. According to insiders close to the chamber, lawmakers have begun circulating early drafts of what's being called a Royal Titles Reform Act, a proposal that would give Parliament the power to strip any member of the royal family of their titles if they are deemed to have abandoned their duties. On paper, it looks like a constitutional update. In reality, it feels like a declaration of independence. Parliament versus the palace. For years, the monarchy has relied on silence to protect its mystique. But silence doesn't work forever, not when the walls are shaking from the sound of public opinion. The whispers began with late-night debates in private offices, senior MPs wondering aloud whether it was time to draw a line. One reportedly said, "If the crown won't defend itself, we'll do it for them." The sentiment spread like wildfire. To some, this is a matter of principle, that royal privilege must come with royal responsibility. To others, it's personal. A response to years of frustration, interviews, and billion-dollar brand deals that turned the word royal into a marketing tool. Can a title still mean something sacred when it's trademarked? Can loyalty still be trusted when it's streamed on Netflix? And at what point does independence become defiance? If this bill passes, Harry and Meghan would lose the titles Duke and Duchess of Sussex, titles granted by the very institution they walked away from. The titles that made their names global, their brand unshakable, their influence undeniable. Without them, they become simply Harry and Meghan. Still famous, yes, but no longer royal. But Parliament's plan doesn't end with them. This legislation is designed as a sweeping reform, a royal reset button that could affect anyone in scandal's shadow. Prince Andrew, the York sisters, even minor royals whose public conduct no longer fits the image the monarchy wants to project. It's bold, it's controversial, and for Britain, it's unprecedented. The last time something like this happened, a king gave up his throne for love. Now a parliament might take titles for respect. Behind the scenes, officials describe the mood as serious but restrained. The kind of quiet confidence that comes when history is being prepared, not discussed. No shouting, no drama, just paperwork. Sharp, deliberate, permanent. So who's really behind it? Is this the result of political frustration or royal orchestration? Because as every observer knows, nothing inside the monarchy moves without someone pulling the strings. Before we go further, make sure you're subscribed, because what's coming next could reveal the real power behind this royal reset. For the palace, it wasn't one interview, one headline, or one documentary that crossed the line. It was the accumulation, drip after drip, that finally cracked the crown's patience. The Oprah Sit Down, the 6-part Netflix confessional, the memoir that bared private conversations like open wounds. Each moment chipped away at the invisible wall, separating royalty from reality television. Inside Westminster, that frustration turned into something heavier: obligation. Officials began to ask what the monarchy had become: an institution of service or a franchise of scandal. Was this still about duty and sacrifice, or about algorithms and streaming deals? Behind closed doors, aides whispered that the Sussexes had commercialized the crown. That phrase stuck. It echoed through corridors, reached committee rooms, and landed on parliamentary desks. Because once a royal title is accused of becoming a brand, it stops being ceremonial. It becomes political. And politics has rules. When an office holder disrespects the institution, Parliament intervenes. So why not now? Why should royalty be immune when accountability is the law of the land? But the deeper question haunting Britain's power circles wasn't just about punishment, it was about precedent. If the monarchy allows this kind of independence, what stops future royals from doing the same? What happens when every disillusioned duke decides to trade palace corridors for podcast studios? At what point does the royal family become just another influencer dynasty? For decades, the monarchy's power rested not on money, but on mystique. You couldn't buy it. You couldn't earn it. You were born into it and expected to honor it. But Meghan and Harry rewrote that script, selling the narrative of escape and empowerment. Millions applauded, billions watched, and somewhere deep within Westminster, lawmakers took note of every headline. So when discussions began about reform, there wasn't much resistance. Even those who admired Harry privately admitted the monarchy had become a soap opera. One MP reportedly sighed, "If the palace can't manage its own, then Parliament must." The line was crossed quietly, not with anger, but with resignation, because every institution, no matter how ancient, eventually protects itself. And maybe that's what this bill really is. Self-preservation dressed as reform. Was this a coordinated strike? Was it whispered from palace advisors to parliamentary ears? Or did lawmakers simply decide the crown needed saving from itself? What's clear is that by the time the public heard the rumors, the wheels were already in motion. Drafts were circulating, legal teams were consulting, and Buckingham Palace was watching, but not speaking. Because sometimes silence isn't indifference. Sometimes silence is strategy. Because if you look closely, this movement might have a familiar face behind it. Prince William. While Parliament debates, palace whispers point toward the heir's quiet influence. He's watched his brother's every move, the tell-all interviews, the streaming deals, the subtle jabs at the family's legacy, and through it all, William has stayed silent. But silence, in royal language, isn't surrender, it's strategy. Sources say the future king has been quietly aligning with sympathetic members of parliament, urging action where his father hesitated. Because to William, this isn't just about family, it's about survival. He believes the monarchy can't rebuild trust until it draws a line, and that line, it seems, runs right through his brother's name. Would he really push Parliament to punish his own blood? Or is he simply protecting the throne he'll soon inherit? If you've been following the royal power shifts, hit subscribe, because what William's doing behind the scenes might be the boldest move of his life. King Charles sits at the center of it all, a man torn between the crown he wears and the son he lost. Insiders describe him as hesitant, cautious, almost paralyzed by love and fear. He's reportedly terrified of how this will play out in the US media. One aide allegedly said, "He fears the headline, 'King punishes the Duchess.' But hesitation has a cost. Every moment Charles delays, Parliament gains momentum, and William's quiet alliances only make the decision harder. Can a king be both a father and a monarch when those roles demand opposite choices? And if he chooses wrong, does he lose both his son and his legacy?" Meanwhile, in London's press corridors, the story is exploding. What began as whispers has turned into political thunder. Tabloids call it the royal reckoning. Insiders call it the reform. Legal drafts are reportedly being reviewed under strict secrecy. The goal? A one-bill solution. A modern letters patent reform that would allow Parliament to revoke or redefine royal titles for anyone who no longer serves the crown. That means Prince Andrew, the York sisters, and yes, the Sussexes. It's being called a constitutional spring cleaning, but beneath the paperwork, something more emotional is at play. A clash between tradition and rebellion. Because when a title becomes a trademark, what does royalty even mean anymore? Before we dive deeper, make sure you're subscribed, because what happens next could erase the Sussex name from royal history forever. Across the Atlantic, in Montecito, Meghan Markle is reportedly in crisis mode. Sources close to her say the Duchess has called urgent PR meetings and emergency brand reviews. Because if the bill passes, Duchess of Sussex, the cornerstone of her global identity, vanishes overnight. How do you market yourself when the word that built your brand disappears? How do you protect your children's titles when Parliament no longer recognizes them? Reports suggest Meghan's team has already started reworking product names, business filings, even website bios, removing royal references. One insider summed it up bluntly. She turned royalty into retail. Now Parliament's turning retail back into royalty. It's poetic and brutal. Then there's Harry, the prince who left the crown but can't seem to leave its shadow. Insiders claim he's been calling the palace repeatedly, trying to reach his father. Some describe him as desperate, others heartbroken. He's reportedly told friends that losing the title prince would destroy everything. The tours, the speaking gigs, the influence. Because without that title, what's left? Just another celebrity with stories to sell. And perhaps the harshest truth of all, William, sources say, isn't budging. Harry made his choice, one insider claimed. Now he has to live with it. Is this the moment where brotherhood ends and monarchy wins? or the moment the crown finally breaks its own heart. Now the scandal reaches its most delicate point: the children. Archie and Lilibet, born into royalty but raised under California skies. If Parliament's bill passes, the 1917 letter's patent that grants them the right to be called Prince and Princess could be rewritten. That would make them the first modern royal children stripped of titles by law. To Meghan, it's personal, a mother defending her children's birthright. To Parliament, it's principle, no crown for California kids. But who's right? Should titles belong to bloodline or to service? And if service defines royalty, can a prince who left ever still be royal? The debate divides Britain, and it's only just beginning. London, cold, quiet. At midnight, the royal website updates. 2 names disappear. No announcement, no ceremony, no fanfare. Just silence. Because in the monarchy, silence is the verdict. For Harry and Meghan, the fairy tale has finally met reality. Titles gone, legacy fractured. A story that began with love and freedom ends with loss and formality. For Charles, it's relief mixed with grief, a father who had to watch his crown outgrow his heart. And for William, it's victory, not shouted from balconies, but whispered through corridors of power. Because in the end, he didn't just protect the monarchy, he reminded the world what it means to earn it. And as dawn breaks over Westminster, one question lingers like fog over the Thames. If Parliament can rewrite royal destiny once, what else might they rewrite next?